Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's class. And I'm just here in my hotel room in Brisbane, Australia. This is, of course, one of my favorite places in the world now. I just love it so much. And so I've got a little bit of a longer layover here. So I wanted to record a class this week on our class on course on karma. And actually, when I get back, because I'm a day ahead here, even I don't know what time it is where I am. I was just talking to my wife Christina. It's like, oh great, I'm gonna be attending the Vajrayini teachings of Rinpoche, see you online. She's like, no, you're not. You're I thought it was basically, anyway, whatever. Like I got the day wrong because I'm like a day ahead. So I'm like, seeing a little bit. It's like, no, that's like tomorrow. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh yeah, I'm already a day, anyway, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it's a little bit confusing. I'm always overtired as a flight attendant. So even I can't keep this straight most of the time. But when I get back I'll have, I get back on Friday. So the very next day, I'll be able to record a live class, which is our final class on the course of karma. Then we'll have some review sessions after. So this particular class here, I actually like from, again, Asian Classes Institute, course number 5, from my notes from over 20 years ago that I took when they were first going up. I guess Michael was putting them up on dial-up internet or whatever, this kind of thing, did the classes way long ago and even taught them long ago. But I still really like a lot of the notes and a lot of the material here. I think it's very, very powerful, relevant, and wonderful for Dharma students. So this particular class here is how to make karma more powerful. So in particular, we'll be talking about the paramita of giving. So that's probably one. There's so many ways to make, good karmic virtues and good karmic actions and so forth. But in particular, the act of giving is one of the most powerful things that we can do. And how can we even intensify that or make even the goodness or the virtue or those positive qualities of that karma increase? More increases, closer we are to getting enlightened. So again, let's just start with our Heart Sutra here. Short motivation and meditation on emptiness. Homage to the perfection of wisdom of the Blessed Mother. Thus I've heard, at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgir in Mass Vulture's Mountain, with a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. That time the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. That time also Superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of the Great Being, was looking perfectly at the practice of profound perfection of wisdom, looking perfectly also at the 5 aggregates being empty of inherent existence. Then through the power of Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the Great Being, how should a son of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and Superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the Great Being, replied to Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this. Subsequently, looking perfectly and correctly at the 5 aggregates being empty of inherent existence, form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are emptiness, having no characteristics. They're not producing, do not cease. They have no defilement, no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness, there's no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. There's no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mentality, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no tactile object, and no phenomenon. There's no I element, so forth up to no mentality element, also up to no element of mental consciousness. There's no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance, and so forth up to no aging and death, and no exhaustion of aging and death. Likewise, there's no suffering, origin, cessation, or path, no exalted awareness, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there's no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. Their minds have no obstructions and no fear. Past unknown perversity, they attain the nirvana. Also, all Buddhas reside perfectly in the 3 times, having relied upon the perfection of wisdom, became manifest and complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal and unequal mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all sufferings, since it's not false, should be known as truth. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Tayantam gata gata pragata parsamgari bodhisoha. Shariputra Bodhisattva, Great Being, should train the profound perfection of wisdom like this. Then the Blessed One arose, and at consecration said to Sparvalishvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, that he'd spoken well. Good, good, O son, allegiance like that. Since it's like that, just as you have revealed, in that way the profound perfection wisdom should be practiced, and the Tathagatas will also rejoice. Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, Sparvalishvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, and the entire circle of disciples, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, and spirits, were delighted and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. So I'm just going to sing a few mantras here, 7 Bhakti mantras, mantra of emptiness and wisdom, realizing emptiness here. Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Soha. Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Soha. Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Soha. I'm actually just going to use my chid drum and drum a little bit with this, a few more mantras here. Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Soha. 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 Okay, let's just take a moment to do a 9-point breathing exercise here. Again, just like last week, just to make it a little more subtle, we're just going to visualize and feel rather than actually using our fingers to close our nostrils for the pranayama. So again, just one set. So 3 breaths in through your left nostril, out through your right, getting rid of desires, attachment. Reverse it for the next 3. Inhale through your right nostril, out through your left, getting rid of anger, reactivity, and so forth. Then 3 deep breaths through both nostrils. And on the final inhalation, the 9th inhalation, hold the breath for a few moments at the tummy, mixing the prana, your mind, and the breath all at once. Just below your belly button there in the navel chakra, and then release. So again, just focusing on putting your mind here, just really sort of focusing on breathing through the nostrils one after the other. So just take a moment here to do our visualization for the just our prayers and sort of setting up for our meditation here. So let's visualize a wide open space here. Beautiful ground like lapis lazuli, but sort of smooth, warm, soft to sit on. And we're surrounded by all sentient beings. So we can visualize, again, the people closest to us and then moving out concentric circles outward. So Mother on our left, Father on our right, representing the different energetic poles of our body. People we love the most behind us as support. People we like the least or have issues with in front of us as objects of our prayers, love, and compassion. Moving out from there, sort of the concentric circles outwards, people from all over the world, just from our neighborhood all the way to all over the planet and even different realms. So we can just think of all people from different backgrounds, countries, cultures, and so forth. We can think of countless animal beings, just every sort of life form here in Mother Earth and Gaia, just from small little insects and even little single-celled organisms or whatever, all the way to big mammals and birds and fish and so forth. Our whole natural ecosystem here. Countless beings in the same way, just as varied, from very small to very big and from very simple to very complex in the spirit world. Just the elemental planes, astral planes, ethereal planes, and so forth. Nature spirits and so forth, little ones, big sort of advanced spirits and so forth. Celestial beings, demigods and gods from the different realms. And just think of countless beings from lower states of rebirth, sort of the vast majority of beings just sort of moving outwards from sort of our closer knit group of friends and family and people closest to us, going out sort of in the periphery, all these sentient beings in sort of nightmarish states of karma, sort of different hell beings and hungry ghost beings and so forth. But again, everybody's happy to be here and to meditate and be together to do this practice. So now setting up the refuge tree, we can visualize in the sky, just huge. So it's a beautiful dome of the blue sky in front of us here, just like on a beautiful summer day. Wonderful tree made out of pure light or energy, sort of a world tree coming out of Lake Manasrover, like a big oak tree, banyan tree, whatever you like, stretching into the sky. So it's like a big hologram that we're seeing, almost like a movie in the sky. In the center of it, just like they say, a full moon, beautiful harvest moon, surrounded by stars or constellations, is Buddha Shakyamuni. So Buddha Shakyamuni he's on his white square lion throne. That's a 1,000-petaled multicolored lotus. That's the moon disk, and that's the sun disk. And he's seated in lotus position, the way we usually visualize him in the Supreme Nirmanakaya form, as they say. So he's wearing 3 robes of a monk in lotus position. He's holding begging bowl in his left hand with pencil nectar, and right hand palm open, touching the earth in the subduing mudra. And just very, very beautiful. Our great teacher. And his heart is his more sort of higher, sort of esoteric, angelic, tantric form. Conquer Vajradhara and Vajradhara. So it's a divine couple, boyfriend and girlfriend, or partners, and just like yin and yang, 2 cosmic principles. So they are obviously just sort of small at his heart level here, and they have beautiful sapphire blue bodies, wearing crowns and beautiful jewelry and silks and so forth in sexual embrace. So she's straddling him, sitting in his lap, around her arms around her neck, and they're kissing, they're making out, whatever. It's just that, when you see tankas in pictures, you don't really, it's just kind of like, you don't see the action of it. I guess you can see that's what they're doing. They're making love. So they have beautiful sapphire blue bodies, and he is holding, just around her back here, a bell in his left hand. Right hand is a Vajra scepter, or Dorje. She has a skull cup of medicinal nectar in her left hand, And then in her right hand is a curved knife or chopper knife. And we can just visualize a nice, beautiful hum letter, blue hum letter, just be at their heart level, sort of between both of them, emitting 5 colored elemental lights: white, blue, yellow, red, and green. Now on our left, or Buddha's right, is the Buddha of love and kindness, Maitreya, in Bodhisattva form. And he has beautiful golden energy body in lotus position, holding the eternal wheel mudra, eternal wheel dharma mudra at his heart here, and his fingers are touching, and fingers are out, holding 2 white lotuses that blossom around the ears. A little more to it than that, but we'll leave it. And then around him are all people, men and women, people that have taught the vast path of Buddha's teachings for the last 2,500 years. Teachings on compassion, bodhicitta, loving kindness, in particular the mind-only or Yogacara school of emptiness, famous saints being Archaya Zasep in that sort of group of gurus. Now, on the other side, our right, or Buddha's left, is the profound path of Buddha's teachings. So is Buddha of wisdom. So these are the teachings on emptiness, wisdom realizing emptiness. So Manjushris and Bodhisattva form the same way, the golden energy body holding 2 white turning we have Dharma mudras, heart tooting, holding 2 white lotuses that blossom around his ears. So, and he's surrounded by people, men and women, who have taught the profound path, all the teachings on emptiness and wisdom, Prajnaparamita teachings, for instance. So this is best illustrated, Madhyamika Middle Way teachings by the saint Arya Nagarjuna, who's there, surrounded by all of his students as well. Now, behind Buddha Shakyamuni is all the tantric teachers, the Vajrayana path, sort of behind Buddha in the tree there. And this is, first of all, represented by Conqueror Vajradhara, this time in solo form. So he's in lotus position, his arms crossed at his heart here, beautiful sapphire blue body and crown and so forth, holding a dorje and bell in his hands. And surrounded by all teachers who have taught Tantra, Buddhist Tantra, these last 1,000 years. And in front of Buddha Shakyamuni is, we visualize our teacher, and teachers of this light are our root teacher, our main Buddhist teacher, and all the other beings, teachers, elders, people in life who have taught us correct spiritual paths. And then we can think just in front of them, sort of in consent, sort of like almost like bleachers coming down a rows. We're going to visualize all the other holy beings, just like the Buddhists from the 4 classes of Tantra. We can visualize like 16 knowledge, wisdom knowledge offering goddesses, let's say 16 arhats, dakinis of 24 places, 1,000 Buddhas of the Seon, different Dharmapalas and Dharma protectors and angels and so forth. So it's just like a big gang of light beings, all different angels and holy beings here in the tree. And all here present with us. So they are always with us, always here, always guiding us, always blessing us, transforming our mind from positive to negative, opening our hearts from sort of a constricted, sort of reactive, selfish mode to sort of a more expansive, creative, open, powerful mode that sort of connects up with the world and other people. So taking refuge, I and all sentient beings until we achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings to achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. I and all sentient beings to achieve enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Virtues that collect by giving other perfections, become the Buddha for the benefit of all. Through the virtues we collect by the perfections, may we become the Buddha for the benefit of all. Through the virtues we collect by giving and other perfections, may we become the Buddha for the benefit refuge here and generating bodhicitta. This beautiful white lights. This is the purification here, come from the hearts of all the holy beings here, dispelling all of our negativities, our obscurations, obstructions, blocks, psychic illnesses, whatever, all that's getting sort of flushed out of us by this light. Just like flipping on a light in a dark room, just all the shadows are chased away. Visualize the light coming down, purifying all the beings around us, making everybody crystal clear. Think of ourselves like a white nectar, if you want, sort of a light and nectar come down the crown of our head and just sort of start pushing, flushing out the bottom parts of our body, all of our negativities and bad karma, illnesses and disease and delusions, selfishness and so forth, all in the form of black smoke or tar. Gross stuff, garbage, insects, whatever you want. Not that insects are bad, but like just anything that's sort of creepy, crawly, or gross, or just dirty, or yucky, or whatever, all just metaphorically, all of this junk in our soul bodies, all being sort of expelled and cleaned out and becoming crystal clear. You know, the lights turn to golden color here, just like sunlight coming down. And you could just think of it almost like a nectar as well, almost like a plasma coming into you. Sort of plasma might be kind of like burning, but just kind of like a positive energy here, just almost like golden sunlight. Like sometimes they talk about like sunlight being like a nectar coming down into us. So us and all sentient beings here. And again, giving us spiritual power, just giving us all sorts of like downloading teachings, empowerments, initiations, sort of going through different Dharma gates and so forth. All this knowledge and power, all about opening our heart. That's all getting put into us directly here, just like we're all shining. It's almost like in for lighting a menorah, let's say for Hanukkah, where you like to use the one candle to light the others. Beautiful candles, so to speak, of all the holy beings here are lighting us as candles, all the sentient beings around us, activating our divine nature, turning on our lights. Turn the four measurables. May everyone be happy. May everyone be free from misery. May no one ever be separated from their happiness. May everyone have equanimity, free from hatred and attachment. So generating love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. There's all this energy coming down into us for these four wonderful virtues, these four positive minds here that we can share amongst ourselves, us and all sentient beings. Yeah, 7-limb practice here, making just the 7 sort of limbs or legs of the table, holding up our Dharma practice, prostration, offering, confession, rejoicing, requesting all holy beings to stay, to teach, and dedicating all of our merits or virtues. So again, prostrations from our heart, namaste. We are just honoring the most sacred things here in the world, just like precious jewels, which are all the holy beings and light beings, which are our own sort of highest potential or manifestation as well, honoring the divine in ourselves and one another, as well as in front of us here in the merit tree. The merit tree, I guess I should say refuge tree, field for the accumulation of merit. So just the garden we're planting, the field, the seeds we're planting to get enlightened here. And just like we're prostrating here, singing prayers, wonderful praises, mind of faith and devotion, honoring, opening our heart with giving here. We can visualize sending out billions of flowers in all directions famous Bodhisattva Samantabhadra used to do his offerings. So spending so much time in Japan and loving that image I have in Japanese culture of the falling cherry blossoms. Just I always visualize that, just like in Vancouver in the springtime, walking along streets, just carpets of cherry blossom petals falling down like snow. Compassion and rejoicing, again, standing up here in front of all sentient beings, all holy beings, and just admitting our flaws, faults, character, drawbacks, and so forth, all of our Shakespearean flaws that come from past lives, this lives, just from most of them being defense mechanisms we have growing up from trauma or issues that we have in our childhood and so forth, all the sort of little small rotten things about ourselves and our ego, you know. I think Jeremy Bentham had a famous philosopher, I think it was him or John Stuart Mill, I can't remember it. He was making sort of a claim about rights, natural rights being bullshit on stilts. It's a famous quote. That your ego is basically bullshit on stilts. I always think so. All of our self-cherishing mind is that. We're just these terrified, traumatized little children deep inside with all this character armor and all this self-promotion going on. And so that's sort of what we're owning, or just showing in the mirror here, just standing up in front of all holy beings in the tree and all sentient beings, say, hey, I'm on a path of personal growth and self-discovery here, and letting all this go for the benefit of all beings. One of the biggest gifts I can do is to heal myself, that I'd be able to be of service to others. And again, with that comes rejoicing in our virtues and other people's virtues, and the virtues of all holy beings, rejoicing in the progress we're slowly making on this path. And looking to others, all their good qualities and virtues, and say, hey, I want to be like that, or that's amazing, that person's fantastic. Wow, what an amazing person, or that person's a saint. And look at all the Buddhas and all the angels and holy beings. They are amazing. I want to be just like them. Just beings made of pure light and love. And now holding in our hand a lion throne here. Just sort of sending that up, just saying, please, Buddhas, Shakyamuni Buddha in particular, always be with me. Never leave me, always be a presence in my life and future lives. I'm now holding our little 8-spoked Dharma chakra or Dharma wheel. We're sending that up. And please continue to teach us, always teach us, in particular, teach us karma and emptiness. Teach us, like we're doing here with our course on karma. Teach us the path to enlightenment. Give me personal advice in my day-to-day life through all my teachers to be able to make the teachings not some intellectual thing, but direct personal advice and guidance to being a better person. And dedicating this for the welfare of all beings, all virtues. And now just finally, last offering here, opening our heart, offering up a purified universe in the form of the mandala. Those pure, beautiful things to all the holy beings here in the tree. The ground sprinkled with perfume and spread with flowers. Great great mountain, foreland, sun, and moon. Seen as a Buddha land and all for us. May all beings enjoy such pure lands. Oh, Jushin me to ring ran ring shi kehan pati sangye me te Uwai Drokun Nadam Shin Chopa. And the mandala there, just some Tibetan Sending forth this beautiful jeweled mandala, purified universe to all your holy beings. And now one last time, beautiful lights and nectars, golden lights like sunlight coming down, blessing us, powering us up. It's love, compassion, wisdom, and power, and joy. So all glowing little stars here. And with us, please practice your blessings of body, speech, and life that dissolve right into my soul, into my root mind here to grant me your blessings. So with this now, the whole sort of Lake Manasrovar and the refuge trees start to melt into light, sort of go inwards, dissolve inwards. So the tree starts to melt in light, dissolving into all the little Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and holy beings, like the stars in the tree. And then they start dissolving inwards, so we can think all Buddhas in front, holy beings, dissolve into our root teacher, who becomes like a little star themselves and dissolves into Buddha Shakyamuni. The vast path and profound path gurus melt into light and melt into Maitreya and Manjushri respectively, that become like little stars or balls of light, like little suns that go inward into Buddha. All the tantric teachers dissolve into Vajradhara, it becomes like a ball of blue light and dissolves into Buddha. So now there's just Buddha Shakyamuni. He sort of melts from the top of his head and his feet inward to his heart, divine couple, conquer Vajradhara, Vajradhattvishvari. And they get really small in the sky, like a little piece of lapis or a little blue diamond or sapphire. Just like very sort of soft, slow, falling stars, shooting stars sort of come down the front of our head, into our crown chakra, central channel just in front of our spine, and slowly dissolve to sort of go down to our heart and dissolve into us. Just feel as they melt into our heart there, all their wonderful and light qualities, all their wisdom, power, and compassion go directly to us. Just great spaciousness, lucidity, awakeness, presentness. Feel completely grounded, awake, nurtured, supported. And at the same time, sense of bliss, or great, great rest, contentment, peace, deep happiness, and joy, positive energy. meditation here. Just giving a blessing. Okay. Got to switch glasses here. Sometimes progressives don't work as good as these ones, so you just sort of see. I hope this is working okay. Still recording. Good. Okay, so today's class, which is called How to Make Karma More Powerful. When you're overseas and you're jet lag, you always wake up in the middle of the night. So I woke up in the middle of the night, like lying in bed going, let's just think I should record this class today. And I had all sorts of interesting things I wanted to say, but now with the jet lag, it's just like dew in the morning sunshine. It's all burned off and I can't remember anything I was thinking about at 3 a.m. there. But one of the things that was, I guess, what it was kind of the line of argumentation of sort of formulating in my mind is just that this particular class, a lot of it's on giving. So it's, oh, that's what, okay, now I remember now, it's all starting to come back. Yeah, so it could, I mean, there's a lot of virtues, a lot of Buddhist virtues, a lot of spiritual virtues in different traditions all over the world. So it technically, we could be talking about a lot of different virtues, but we're talking about giving. And giving is a big spiritual, again, virtue in many traditions. So when you do highest yoga tantra, Buddhist highest yoga tantra, Anantara yoga tantra, you have all sorts of vows that you take. And in particular, you take the vows for the 5 Dhyani Buddhas or 5 Buddha families. So one of them, this is tantra. I mean, it's supposed to be a lot more personal and secret, not talked about in sort of an open way, but these 5 Buddha families are basically what your 5 aggregates will become sort of when you become an enlightened being or angel. Sort of, it's kind of interesting, but your body and mind components they are divine. You sort of unveil them for being divine. They become divine. They become created that way. And one of them, of course, is Ratnasambhava, which is the Buddha that is also the transcendent wisdom of giving. So it's wisdom of total equality in sort of being, I guess you could say, sort of equal and united with all things, which is beautiful. And Ratnasambhava is holding a jewel, sort of wish-fulfilling jewel that in sort of traditional Asian culture, like in India and Tibet from that time, there's sort of what they call wish-fulfilling jewels. I guess you could say kind of like a genie's lamp, like you hold the jewel, you make a wish, it comes true. So when you become a Buddha, you become like a wish-fulfilling jewel or sort of the Aladdin's genie lamp or whatever, because you're so perfect and you understand karma and emptiness so perfectly. You are that you can manifest anything. You know what how to manifest all things that make all beings happy, and you become that for all beings as well. Whatever beings need, however they need help, however you can be of service to them, that's what you become in order that they discover that lesson or truth about themselves as well. Then they become that, right? They become a total wish-fulfilling jewel in the same way. And this is sort of what an angelic angel or Buddhist angel is. That's why it's in kind of through spiritual materialism by Chicken Tripper Rinpoche, one of my favorite books. He talks about, it's towards the end of the book, that famous yogi and Tibetan Buddhist saint Milarepa, all his different spiritual training realizations, then it gets to what Trempa says is that, this level of realization you get to what he calls, Milarepa's called old dog stage. It might be kind of like the Tibetan folklore idea, sort of the old good dog that's serving the dog's family. Like can do anything really, really great, but is completely humble, like just has so much dignity. Just you think about that, like the family pet you love the most, how they're just everything to you, and they're just so full of love. They love you unconditionally. They're able to sort of serve you, give you, they're happy, and then they sort of share all this love with you, give you what you need. So the old dog stage, Trempa Rinpoche says, is when Milarepa reaches the point of the universality of Milarepa, basically the sort of enlightened state of Milarepa, where Milarepa becomes, there's a universalization of him where he becomes the world itself, in the sense that whatever beings need, he can be that for them. Like it's completely non-egoic. And so if people need a bridge, he'll be a bridge. If people need food, he'll be food. If people need whatever they need, he's able to give it to them, like being food, drink, the sky, the earth underneath their feet. Shantideva says that in Guided Bodhisattva's Way of Life, like that's the prayer that His Holiness Dalai Lama always says, like, may I, whatever beings need, whatever that is, may I be that, may I be an airplane, may I be a boat, may I be food, may I be a house, may I be a car, may I be a mother, a father, anything that beings need, with love, may I be able to give that to them. So you can see the importance of giving. And of course, in all religions, you can see this, like in Christian parables and teachings of Jesus's life, or famous Christian saints, Catholic saints throughout history. They're like these sort of advanced bodhisattvas that whatever you need, I'll give it to you. To close off my back, you need my finger, here's the finger, whatever. In Islam, this idea that and even in Judaism, I've always liked, because philosophers, Emmanuel Levinas, been one of my favorite philosophers, this idea that what does it mean to be ethically called to care and serve others, to serve the unwanted guest, the person that shows up and needs help. What can I do? How can I serve you? How can I give to you? So the same thing in Islam, where it's, so I have to take care of the weak, the vulnerable, widows, kids, old people. Like I have to be able to give whoever shows up in my house. Here's food, here's a place to stay with me, let me take care of you, let me give to you. So you can see, I guess, where I'm getting at that is that giving, maybe it's not the most important virtue, but it's certainly one of the most important. Like you can see that fundamentally, giving is what you do when you have an open heart. So Geshe Wangyal, famous first Tibetan Lama in the United States, in New Jersey, came, I guess, maybe in the early 60s or so, was Jeffrey Hopkins' teacher, Robert Thurman, all these great Buddhist practitioners and scholars in the US studied with him in the 60s and 70s. And before he died, I think in the early 80s. But he's got a really good Dharma book, Door to Liberation, where it's just like a bunch of LamRim teachings and teaching the three principal paths. But I remember he's got different teachings and parables and stories in it from different Tsongkhapa masters. And there's great stuff from the great old Tsongkhapa master, Tisha, who's the founder of the Tsongkhapa tradition that becomes the basis for our Gelupa, or new Tsongkhapa tradition. And I always remember my friend, first meditation teacher, he brought this book to one of our meditation classes in 1995. And I read this quote, it's a short quote, that someone said, and we have to look at it. I can't remember, I'm just paraphrasing from what I remember, but one of Atisha's students says, hey, what's it like when you realize emptiness? Like you have one of these sort of amazing experience, sort of yogic direct perceivable of emptiness directly. What happens to you immediately? That, like, we know you get rid of samsara, we know you get rid of your suffering, we know all that. But being a bodhisattva, having bodhicitta, what happens when you have that experience of emptiness? So of course, he just ends up talking about these 6 paramitas. Of course, when you have an experience of emptiness and you go up the bodhisattva bhumis, and with each bhumi, you are able to manifest or embody these 6 paramitas, or 6 perfections, virtues, of course, like giving, patience, moral discipline, joyous effort, concentration, and wisdom realizing emptiness. And then there's 4 other virtues after that, right? When you get to the 10th bodhisattva bhumi. But there's a great line where the first one is that as a bodhisattva, when you realize emptiness on the path of seeing, you see emptiness directly, you move from sort of an intellectual image of sort of a generic image or a symbolic image of emptiness in your meditation. So an inferential experience of emptiness to having a direct experience. So working with an image that falls the way you see it directly. I have a photograph of a friend that I haven't seen in years. I just have them on social media, on Facebook, on my, what do they look like? I'm meeting them in the Eaton Center, Toronto. I just say, I haven't seen the picture, I haven't seen them in 10 years. I look at it and then I'm like, oh, here they are in the food court. Oh, this is them. Oh, this is Matthew. Oh, hi. Oh my God, wow, you're just like the picture, you're older or whatever, but that's the real person. I've got the picture of the real person. So path of seeing, the image of emptiness drops away, and I directly see emptiness directly. So at that point, I'm on the first bodhisattva bhumi, the path of seeing. At that point, if I have bodhicitta and I'm a Mahayana Buddhist, I'm on the very first bhumi, which is very joyful. And why is it called very joyful? Because I become a very joyful person. Why? Because at that point, I have perfected the perfection of giving. The first most important virtue is giving. My life then is just giving to others 24/7 around the clock. And karmically, what I put out is what I get back. So the happiness I bring to other people by giving to them is what I experience as well. So we're all very joyful. People are the joyful recipients of my giving and open-heartedness. And I have nothing but nonstop joy by giving to everybody. So they always say, well, this is the bodhisattva, where it's just like, hey, what do you need? How can I help? What can I give you? What do you need? So they're never, speaking for myself, it's like I'm overtired, whatever. Oh, can I have this? Like homeless can I have change? Or my mom calls me up, Matthew, can you do this? I'm like, oh, my first impulse is like, oh God, not again, here we go, right? One more thing for someone else. That's my, total self-cherishing. In other words, the person I want to give to is me, 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 me. That comes first, not other people. So like Levinas says, is that when the other comes in for help, there's this, the infinity breaking through my sense of totality here. And he always says, it's kind of like you feel held hostage, or kind of like it's been put upon, like the other person's like, you're just like, oh no, my neighbor's car broke down and I have to help him jump with the jumping. Oh, I'm so retired, I just got back from work. So what happens is, of course, that experience flips, of course, with an experience of emptiness, where I'm just, oh my God, I know not only can I be of help and make this person happy, but I know the karma ripens positive, not just for him, but for me. And so I'm going to experience all the happiness from giving. So I'm happy to, everybody's happy, very joyful. So Atisha says, it's great, where he says, once you realize emptiness on the first path, path of seeing, first bodhisattva bhumi, very joyful. He said, your life will become a transcendent flow of giving. Right? Then he says, it'll be transcendent flow of patience, transcendent flow of joy, separate, whatever. So what's interesting, in other words, the flow of your life, of your day-to-day life, the everydayness, so to speak, in an existential way, will not be this Heideggerian hamster wheel of, oh my God, death anxiety, my day-to-day projects, I'm trying to get a sense of self and like this, but quite the opposite is, from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, and even as I'm sleeping and doing all my sleep and dream yoga, it's a flow of giving from open-heartedness, everything that I can do. So that's when you are a wish-fulfilling jewel with, you're basically holding that vow to, when you're a tantric vow automatically from Ratnasambhava. So Ratnasambhava, that tantric vow, by the way, just circling back here, is, if you can do it, it's nice. It's very difficult, of course, is that they say 4 times a day. So it's at least every 6 hours or something. They said you should be giving material things as much as you can, like whatever you can, whatever that is. And we can think like, we say at least you can, feed birds with breadcrumbs, or, whatever, just like little acts of giving that way, whatever you can, whatever you have. So giving material things, giving dharma, of course, not proselytizing, but through prayers, what anyone wants to learn meditation, you teach this or that, just your life being an act of giving dharma. Giving love. So really an open-heartedness where you're giving love all the time. And then what I really like is, it might not be, it might just seem maybe not that intuitive, but it's like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. But it's like giving fearlessness or giving protection. In other words, ironically, you will become, at that stage, you will become an object of refuge for being an Arya Bodhisattva. Other people will take refuge and you will be an object of refuge for other people, just because you're just nonstop open-hearted, nonstop giving, that you are like a shining light or an act of goodness in the world, that people will seek shelter in you from their suffering, right? Ironically, but so giving protection. So rather than giving fear, stressing people out, quite the opposite. You are giving protection all the time, and then you will actually be an object of protection for people, which is, I think, really beautiful. That was a last quote. I hadn't even started the class. I'm like, anyway, there's a great quote from a philosophy book I was reading by Slavoj Žižek there, and he talked about, it's a very famous, forgotten his name already, but he's a very famous Jewish activist in Poland. He might have died in the 1990s or something, I don't know, but it was, he was just an amazing guy. So left-wing socialist guy, big humanitarian guy. He lived his whole life in Poland. And so in World War II, he was in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, part of the Jewish resistance against the Nazi occupation of Warsaw, in particular, the big crackdown on the Jewish ghetto. He was sort of part of a sort of left-wing Zionist group there. And then after the war, ended up not just resisting the Nazis, but resisting the Soviet government in Poland. But it was at the same time a huge humanitarian, stood up for justice issues all over the world, including for Palestinians in Israel. So it was the kind of guy where he was everyone's hero, at the same time everyone's enemy, in the sense that all big governments and power structures were always shown up by him, because he had so much integrity and conscience and was an amazing person. He made everybody look bad. All these sort of the powerful, the privileged, and sort of nasty government people and different power structures and militaries. He was such an incredible human spirit. So what was interesting in the book, what it said, Slavoj Žižek said, is that he was, what mattered, he stayed in Poland because he always wanted to stay. He might have even been in Auschwitz, I can't remember, where sort of the evidence of the Holocaust was, so it would never happen again. But there's a great line where it's just like, his life itself was an act of freedom and goodness. And so just having him around brought freedom and goodness into the world, and people felt free and good around him. And so that was what he offered to people. Like, that's, in a sense, he was an act of giving, but also of protection and refuge. I've always remembered that. That's really, really good. So, I mean, this is the idea that when you're becoming a bodhisattva, that's kind of the kind of person you're going to be. So the ground of that, how you do that, is through giving. Here we go, finally getting to the class right now. So how to make karma more powerful? Well, we understand, we're trying to figure out what karma is. And again, how do we really activate that karma? A life of service and a life of giving. Okay, 4 kinds of giving. So basically there's 4, I guess, ways you can give. So 1 is for your own benefit. 2 is giving for the benefit of others. 3, giving for both yourself, the benefit of both yourself and others. And then giving that, number 4, neither the self or others benefit by your giving, which is kind of strange. And I'll read that. That's kind of like, oh, well, okay, interesting. So first one's for your own benefit. So for the most part, this is, we can be giving to get worldly benefits, just mostly for ourselves. And they say karma that ripens in the desire realm, that ripens in the worldly realm that we're in right now. So karmically, you can give, even in a good way. Like, I can give to temples, I can make offerings, I can give to charity. But even if I'm doing it for like, I can do it for selfish reasons, like, oh, I get sort of a tax break, or I just want to be seen as a good person, or because I feel guilty. Oh my God, I never meditate, so why don't I just go and give money to the temple this weekend, and I'll feel bad about never showing up to anything or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can do it sort of with a mixed or bad motivation, but at the same time, you can do it with a good motivation. But unless, again, you're gathering up, sending it off along a karmic trajectory or projection to getting enlightened, a lot of times, if you're just like a worldly person giving in a good way, most of that karma is going to ripen in worldly ways for you in the desire realm. Like, you end up getting a little bit more wealthy or beautiful, or good things happen to you, whatever, like they say, what the parking gods, whatever, every time I go to IKEA, I get the parking spot right next to the store, or whatever. Like, the point is it's ripening as what Geshe calls dirty good karma. Like, in a sense, it's good karma ripening within samsara, but again, it's more just benefiting yourself, might not be going anywhere special. Second, giving for the benefit of others. So again, it's not to benefit yourself, only doing it to help others. So this would be, of course, Arya or higher beings or Buddha, like, people really getting close to enlightenment. That's what they do. It's not some secret, conscious or unconscious wish to benefit themselves and It is just doing it as a way of being of service, of caring and giving for others. And so those results become sort of higher results. They end up ripening more in a spiritual way for these people. And again, you'll be dedicating it for enlightenment as well. Number 3, benefiting yourself and others. So again, this would be the giver wants a result of desire realm and the recipient receives desire realm giving. So just like we said, like benefits, giving like that, where I'm doing good spiritual things or good things within this world, I benefit from it and the other person benefits with worldly results from the karma. And then the last one's neither benefit from giving is when a Buddha gives to another Buddha to honor them, which is interesting. So it's kind of like, nevertheless, they have pure view and everything's manifesting purely. But that's when, whatever, you're a Buddha and all the other Buddhas say, oh, please, whatever, Buddha, Matthew or whatever, please teach for us, everybody in the world, teach some more Dharma. We're offering all these flowers to you and raining down. And it's like, oh, I will give a discourse on and start teaching. Those Buddhas, it's kind of like an act of their own manifestation. They don't think they're going to get anything out of it by doing it. It's like, well, we have to offer Matthew to this flower so I get this good result. And I don't feel the same way as a Buddha receiving this. It's like, well, that's a result of my good karma. It shows that I'm a good person because all these other Buddhas are always throwing flowers at me. It's kind of like, again, there's kind of neither benefit in a sort of a worldly way by that happening, right? Okay, 7 qualities of a giver that makes the karmic result more powerful. Okay, so what increases the karmic power or sort of intensity of energy for karma in giving is the character of the person giving it. So or how you're giving, not just the kind of person you are, but also how you do it when you do it. So number 1 being concentrate on the good qualities and want to become like that yourself. Okay, so understand the good qualities of holy beings or goodness in general. Understand those good qualities, admiring them, feeling joy and happiness about them, and wishing to be like them. So so when you're giving, understand the goodness of the act of giving, for one thing. Like, what's it like to care and help and give to others? What's it like to be available to others? What's it like to be of service to others? What's it like to give charity to others, to help out? We live in the country in Nelson, just across the street from the temple there. And one thing we learned, my mom always said, is my parents had a ranch in Alberta for decades, and they always said, in the country in the middle of nowhere, whenever anyone helps, you ask for help, everyone goes to help that person, because that could be you. And when you need help, everyone comes to help you. So when you're giving, whatever, like, everyone knows the goodness of that act of helping, that act of serving, that act of caring, or in other words, so, oh my goodness, the cows are giving birth, it's in the middle of the night, one's having trouble, everyone come over and help, I need help. It's like everyone knows this is good, this is going to help Matthew, he needs help. We all know what this is like calving. We all know this will benefit the mama cow and the baby cow, And then understanding the good qualities of people that are good givers. This is just like Aristotle says with ethics, is it's just find an example of a person with the virtues you want and be like them. In other words, if you know people that are very open-hearted, generous, kind, giving people, give in a way that's like them. It's like, oh, like Uncle Mike or whatever, just like, I want to give in the same way they give. I want to be of service in the same way they are. Or like my mom or something, I want to have an open-hearted giving just like them. Or just like Buddhists are great Buddhist saints, great spiritual saints, just like I want to be, whatever, like Mother Teresa or all these famous saints, Francis of Assisi or Milarepa or anything, or Mashi Labran. I want to be like her when I'm giving, when I'm open-hearted. I read her Namtak, her spiritual biography, and I just think, wow, she's amazing. I want to be just like her in this world. 2, avoid the 10 non-virtues, which makes giving more powerful. So obviously don't have your giving mixed in with the 10 non-virtues, needless to say. So I'm not giving a charity at the same time killing people while I'm giving a charity, or stealing. One hand gives, the other one stealing from my company or from my parents or something. So you always in your life working on not committing the 10 non-virtues. So not killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, don't taking intoxicants. We don't want gossip. We don't want divisive speech. We don't want hurtful speech. We don't want covetousness, sort of grasping, sort of greedy mind. And then we don't want malice. We don't want a mind that delights and sort of fantasizes or wants other people to suffer. So not having that in our mind, not having that in our life, not having that in behavior makes our giving more pure and more powerful. Because if you're doing all that, if you've got a mind that's always malicious, where it's just like, I hate this person, I hate this, oh, I hope this person, you know, like, ugh. And then when you go to give, there's all that kind of negative energy or darkness or shadows where it's like, oh, Matthew, can you give someone, cook for them for this or give money to this charity? But meanwhile, you're like a really mean, or you're a total covetous, greedy person. If you're really greedy, what's it going to be like giving money away, giving charity away, helping people? Can you really do it? Or will you be a miser? Will you be like a hungry ghost in a way where it's really compromising your giving, right? 3, don't be stingy, give generously. So sure, I'm asked, let's say, to cook for the temple for Rinpoche and Lama. So I don't have any money. I'm just going to buy a bag of potato chips, open it up, put it there. You go. And just because I'm cheap, you do what you can. Obviously, you can give only what you have to give, and you're always working on doing better. But don't be cheap or stingy, right? So it's same thing with. Offerings just any offerings when you make the temple offerings at temples or churches or anything else, like, oh, pass the basket and I have all this money, well, here's a quarter, like we had it. I used to go to a great yoga studio in downtown East Side in Vancouver, which was really great years ago. And for a while, anyway, it was done by donation. And I always found, I mean, you never know with people, you don't know, but it's like the teacher, she was amazing, other teachers, and they give, and then someone would just, oh, thanks very much, 90-minute class, great. And they'd put in a toonie. And it's like, okay, maybe you don't have any money. I don't know. I don't know what your finances are. Maybe you're going right to the hospital at that point to make a huge donation for the cancer wing or something. I don't know. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, you know, you don't look that, you look fairly affluent. I mean, you know, I can just tell by the way you're dressed, you got like the big Starbucks latte or whatever leaving. It's just like, $2, that person just taught you 90 minutes, it's only worth $2. Anyway, only we know that, right? And a lot of times unconscious, we don't know. So we have to sort of move to that, just sort of learning more and more about ourselves, that we have to open heart, give more generously. Okay, 4 hours of learning. So you know and understand what you're doing, give awareness of karma. So just more and more you know about karma and emptiness, more and more you know how sort of intentions work, more and more how you know how virtues work, how vices work. Again, just the mechanics of karma, what karma is. Knowing that when I do good things, when I do give, it's a lot more powerful. I know what's at stake. I know how to maximize the energetic result there. 5, don't do bad deeds for reasons relating to yourself. No one would know if he did a bad deed, and you don't know if for your own conscience sake. If you have this quality in your personality, you give it makes it powerful. And then 6 is don't do bad deeds reasons related to what others will think. So basically, this is in low rate when you learn mind and mental factors, the different virtues and non-virtues. Shame and conscientiousness are 2 really good virtues in your mind that make just positive energy. In other words, don't do bad things or be a bad person out of a sense of shame. In other words, what would happen if other people knew? What if they do? What if they do know? Like how is my behavior impacting on other people? What kind of example am I setting for others? How am I acting in the world? How am I, like, am I a hypocrite? Am I do I have any integrity? How much awareness or shame do I have? Like, if I have this, and then for myself, like sort of the conscientiousness of really trying hard to be a good person for my own sense of personal integrity. So personal integrity and your spiritual example affects the quality of your ethical work, obviously, right? Otherwise, you can be a bit of a hypocrite where you're doing all these good things. Oh, Matthew, so amazing, and yet in his personal life, he's a total jerk or a real rotten person or whatever, and shamelessly so. That has an effect on the karma of giving, right? So this is, and again, this is a little bit harder because it is about just trying to be a better person. But the more you try to be a better person, the more you're a better person, the more power or energy the karma has when you're giving, right? So having that sense of propriety and shame before other people, and then integrity with yourself. And then finally, understanding emptiness. Well, understanding karma and emptiness, like that's the key. Is emptiness is a direct medicine or antidote to your self-grasping mind and hence your self-cherishing mind. So the more you understand emptiness, the more you see that there isn't a basis for your extreme selfishness and self-cherishing mind in the world. And if that's the case, then you can have more of a selfless behavior towards other people. The more selfless you are, the more open you are to other people, the more basis of being a caring person you have. Okay, qualities of giving that makes the most powerful. So the act of giving is the way in which you give can increase the karmic power of giving. So number one, do it out of respect and have that attitude, respect in body language, presentation, manner. So when you're giving, not out of guilt, not out of the sense of martyrdom, where it's like, oh my God, I'm just always the one that has to do this. Like no one else will do this except for me. Not of course, any kind of, like, basically even the 8 worldly dharmas, like, do you think you're going to get something out of it? Do you want material things? Are you doing it for a sense of pleasure or comfort? Or are you doing it in a sense because you want a reputation? Are you doing it because you want to be praised? And then are you upset if you don't get anything out of it? What, you're not giving a tax receipt? What, you didn't say thank you? You don't appreciate my big gift to the university? Well, I'm taking all the money back. Or somehow pleasure. It has to be pleasure. I have to enjoy it. This giving, if I'm not getting something out of this, no point in giving. And again, or I want a good reputation. Not only have I got no reputation, I got a bad reputation on Twitter for doing this. What? And I forget, I'm never giving again. Or again, being praised. No one's saying thank you enough. I don't feel appreciated. No one's saying what an amazing person I am. So, so anyway, when that creeps into your act of giving, obviously it compromises it, right? So we actually want to do the other way, where we want to do it out of respect and out of sort of a real good motivation, goodness there. Give what is really needed. So in other words, like they say, out of respect and body language, presentation, and manner. So really from your heart, do it from your heart. Don't do it cynically. Don't do it with a sense of martyrdom. Don't do it with a sense of holiness or sanctimoniousness or piousness. I mean, I can't stand any of that, even in myself, most of all in myself, right? Blah, blah, blah. So 2, give what is really needed at the time it's needed most. So of course, if someone needs medicine, whatever, maybe it's okay to bring over food or something. But again, hey, I'm dying of cancer. What I really need, I don't, my health insurance is, can you help? Whatever. So, oh, sure, I can help with this, rather than, oh, I bought you whatever, a yacht. It's like, well, I don't need, I'm dying of cancer. What am I going to use a yacht for? Maybe I could sell it for my cancer meds or something. But, we can all say is that it has to be, you have to give skillfully in the sense, what's the most benefit for the other person, not for you, what you think, or your sort of agendas or something, but having that kind of awareness and sensitivity of the person. It's like, how can I best help this person? How can I best give? What do they really, really need? And now, some people, all they really need is your time. All they really, really need is your love. All they need is your attention. The big thing is all they need is for you to listen, maybe. That's what they need. What's most needed in the time it's needed most. 3, what can't cause harm or be used to harm the recipient. Okay, so so it's just like, oh, hey, Matthew, I know you're a little bit depressed, but hey, I got you some heroin for today. This will really perk you up or whatever. Or I know you've got diabetes, but hey, that's fine. Let me just I got you 10 chocolate bars. Here you go. Like, this is where, again, it's the skill and the wisdom of, it's like, am I giving something that's really helping the person, or is it harming them in some way? And sometimes, maybe it isn't good if someone's trying to quit smoking or smoking, to give them cigarettes. Maybe in a lot of ways you're enabling them or making them worse, even potentially killing them, right? I mean, it's just that we buy people sweets, we buy people alcohol, we buy people maybe stuff that we shouldn't. So it might not necessarily be about being religious and judgmental in this sense, but it's just thinking, okay, wisely, what can I really, maybe I don't need to get them anything. Maybe I just need to spend time with them, take them out for lunch and just be with them. Maybe that's a nice gift that I can do for them, right? So, don't do things that make people get worse for whatever they have, right? Okay, so now object of giving have the most powerful karmic result. We've talked about this before. Who like basically giving to a powerful object increases the power of the karma, right? So whether there's these four objects, giving to human beings is of more karmic benefit, let's say, than giving to non-human. Like I give to an ant a little piece of a crumb to an ant or something. There's more karmic power giving to a person. Giving to someone who's suffering and needs me to care for them to give. Number three, special object, like for instance, giving to your parents or your family or people that raised you, giving, of course, to your Buddhist teachers or spiritual teachers. Even giving, let's say, to your counselor, people that are helping you. That's sort of a more of a powerful object to give to. And then four, again, giving to those with high spiritual qualities. Of course, our lamas, saints, yogis, yoginis, special spiritual people. It's giving to them, helping them, caring from them is even more karma. Okay, so that's it. The last little thing I have is just what we went over last week, which is the 6 things that cause karma to be collected. So there was, again, how do I plant a karmic seed? How do I create karma? How does a karmic projection, when I'm projecting out the energy, create the appearance? Well, there's all that sort of different structure to actually plant a firm karmic seed. In other words, I need an intention. I mean to do it, number one. Number two, the complete path of karma, all four present. I need an object of the karma. I need an intention. I need to undertake the action, and I need to complete it or see it finished, right? Three, no regrets, glad you did it, either in a good way where I'm so glad I did it, I mowed my elderly neighbor's lawn, I'm glad I did, or in a bad way, I'm glad I did it. Like I promised that guy in my mind I would punch that guy at work in the parking lot after the day of the office, and I did it, and I showed that guy who's boss, and I have no regrets. So that's like a negative karmic seed, let's say, being planted there. So no regrets. And then four, no antidote. So you didn't do anything to make up for it. Okay, so in other words, many times, let's say if we're doing bad karma, like good karma, you don't have to make any antidote for this. I'm just talking about bad karma, but we might get all the way to this point where we might not even have much regrets, but immediately after, let's say we feel guilty or ashamed of ourselves or feel bad. Even that starts taking some of the bad energy away. You know, it might scorch the seed a little bit. And then we can work on purifying if we want to actually overcome the negative karma associated with that deed. So if I don't make any, now and again, there's no technically timeline on this. I mean, you can regret something years later and affects the karma if it hasn't ripened already, let's say, you know, but technically you don't want to leave it too long because the karma increases on things over time, as we know, right? But so in other words, what really puts a seed in there is having no antidote, no regret, no attempt to sort of undo what you've done if it's been hurtful, no attempt to take responsibility, to own the deed, to be accountable for what you did. And then 5, of course, is glad that you did it or rejoicing. So that really punches it in. So if I rejoice either in the bad thing or in the good thing, that really seals it and sort of throws it on its way. Okay, so yeah, they say karmic seed is definitely planted if number 5 is there. So if I'm rejoicing in what I did, again, good karma or bad karma, then you really know you're putting your stamp on it and putting it out there, right? So in other words, mindfulness, ethics and mindfulness go together. 3 higher trainings of ethics, then you have concentration and wisdom, realizing emptiness. So we need ethics for mindfulness. Ethics is what controls our mind, makes it concentrated, makes us aware of being in the present moment. And we need mindfulness to be in the present moment, to be ethical. So they sort of feed each other in a little bit of a feedback loop there. So the more mindful we can be on karma that we're creating as a path of karma, the more we can observe karma, and vice versa. The more I'm observing karma, the more in touch with my life as an author of my life, as a creator of my life, as a creator of the world on an existential level that I am. Okay, that's a lot. I think this is way over an hour here. I better head out. It's a day here in Australia, and thank you for coming. And I hope I didn't talk too much. I always think I might just overdo it, put too much material here. I always sort of, the back of my mind sort of conceive Vajrayana floating in the air with this look on her face, like, does that guy ever shut up? I swear. Anyway, thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for attending. And we'll just take a moment to dedicate this merit. Again, just dedicating it for our understanding of of karma and emptiness, and just the central role, sort of the main role that these play to having a path to enlightenment. Understanding karma and emptiness basically are the true the true cessations and true paths that, well, they show us the true sufferings and true origins, these being the four noble truths or four Arya truths. But studying karma and emptiness give us the positive side, which is we can, suffering has an origin, but we can remove the suffering and create happiness and get enlightened. So let's dedicate all of our understanding of karma here, what we've been learning today, towards us increasing our understanding of karma, our practice of karma in day-to-day lives, for the welfare of all sentient beings. So for the blessings of all holy beings, through the karma, power of for intention, and our dharma wishes be fulfilled. Okay, see you in the next one. Thanks so much for coming.